John Richardson for Toronto City Council, Ward 29.
In the city of Toronto, candidates are all officially supposed to be independent. Political parties are not allowed. In that sense, every candidate for city council is an independent candidate. But the simple fact of the matter is that a number of candidates are in fact the candidates or representatives of different political parties. For example, many years ago, Jack Layton was the NDP candidate for a mayor in Toronto. Now, I think the time has come to end all involvement of political parties in city politics. In a way, it's even more offensive if they kind of operate in the back rooms, sending their members to help with campaigns and, at least until this year, funding. Political parties have no place in city politics. Since the year 2000, Toronto residents have been forced to endure 2 garbage strikes in the summers. The stench has been absolutely unbelievable. If you want to avoid the stench, then all you have to do is support a policy that would ensure that the current practice of contracting for services with unions directly, instead of tendering out these types of opportunities, it must end. To put it simply, if you want to, we'll use garbage as an example. It's one that we can all relate to after the strike of last summer. All Toronto services, any contract the city enters into should be tendered. Any contract should be tendered. And furthermore, no union should have the opportunity to bid on that contract directly. The city should be dealing only with corporations who will then deal with the unions at the back end. Everybody knows that city councilors get a $50,000, which is supposed to be expense fund, which is really understood to be nothing more than a slush fund, which they're free to use in pretty much any way they want. And one of the ways they used is by printing literature and sending it to their constituents, which essentially allows them to campaign 24/7. So let's look at what's happening here for a minute. Remember that one of the third pillars of the democratic process is that people ought to be able to run and ought to be able to run effectively. It's almost impossible to defeat an incumbent who essentially uses their name recognition and slush fund to compete, to market themselves, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during their 4-year term. How do you solve this? Well, the answer is always, okay, at the end of the day, people must get out and vote and turf these people out. But I think it would be enormously helpful to have term limits that would allow people to run at most for 2 terms, possibly 3, but after that they should be encouraged to move on. I commit to holding meetings once a month where people are free to, in fact encouraged, to come on down, have a chat, say what's on their mind. Now that doesn't mean that a city councilor, including me, should just do something because somebody wants it done. Obviously that's irresponsible. But it is incumbent on a city councilor to listen to what their constituents say, and it's also incumbent on a city councilor to make reasonable efforts to seek out what people's concerns are. And I certainly would commit to doing both of those things. I am an independent candidate, not only in the sense that municipal candidates are independent, or at least in Toronto, but I've run as an independent candidate before. I abhor the party system, and the reason I abhor it is because people in public office do not listen to the people who elect them. They forget who they work for, and what I will do that is most certainly different is listen to and take into account the wishes of the people in Ward 29 and in fact have respect and regard for them.